Right, we're going over two methods. It's a quote from the Zohar.
The two Messiahs. Number 234. No shrub of the field applies to the first Messiah, Messiah son of David, before he is in the land. No herb of the field applies to the second Messiah, Messiah son of Joseph. Why were there no Messiahs in the land? It was because Moses was not with them. It was written about him, and there was not a man to till the ground. The scepter shall not depart from Judah. It's Messiah son of David, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet. Is Messiah son of Joseph, until Shiloh comes, is Moses. Since Moses is Gematria, numerology, is Shiloh. And unto him shall the obedience of the peoples be, is the letters of and Levi Kohath, meaning that the correction will go from Moses through Kohath to Levi, who are the fathers. Next.
What is the meaning of the two Messiahs and the difference between them? Why can they appear only after the disclosure of the soul of Moses? It is because of the association of Midat ha-Rakamim, the attribute of mercy, with Din, judgment, and Malkut, kingdom, was included in Bina understanding. The Atzmut self of Malkut kingdom was taken out, and there are only the first 9 of Malkut kingdom in her. The inclusion of Malkut kingdom in them, while her own self was concealed in Rosh Atik, the concealed head. For this reason, Malkut de Zerampin, the kingdom of small face, divided into 2 kingdoms, from the
Chazeh.
Thank you. Hazeh, chest, and above, she is the tent of Leah, the covered world, and from there extends the Messiah, son of David, the Leah, or the son of Leah, from
Chazeh. Chazeh.
Hazeh, chest, and below, it is the tent of Rachel, the revealed world, from which Messiah, son of Joseph, extends, the son of Rachel.
Above and below, it follows that there are 10 complete Sephirot emanations in Malchut kingdom, from Hazeh, chest, and above. But in Malchut from Hazeh and below, her Malchut lacks, and she ends at Yesod. For this reason, there is a dispute between Messiah son of David and Messiah son of Joseph concerning the purpose of the end of correction. Messiah son of David wishes to be king, to lead Israel in his Behina discernment from Malchut above the Haseh, where the Zivug mating is perfect from the face of man. This is why his illumination is complete. But Messiah, son of Joseph, is not pleased with the leadership of Messiah, son of David, because he is from the covered world, and his illumination is from below upward. For all that extends from Haseh, chest, and above, does not illuminate from above downward, but only from below upward. This is why he wishes to be king and to lead Israel, to illuminate for them from his Behina discernment, from Malchut kingdom, from the Haseh, chest, and below, who illuminates from above downward in open guidance, as she is the revealed world. This is the dispute that was between Saul and David, because Saul was of Rachel's children, Messiah son of Joseph, and David was of Leah's children, Messiah son of David. It is likewise between Rehavam and Yeravam. Hope I got that right. Similarly, in every generation, you will find those two slandering one another.
The 3 arrows. This is what Jonathan, son of Saul, said to David. And I will shoot 3 arrows sideward. If I say unto the lad, behold, the arrows on this side of you, take them and come, for there is peace to you. But if I say thus unto the boy, behold, the arrows are beyond you, go your way, for the Lord has sent you away. We should understand why Jonathan chose these signs. The 3 arrows are the 3 branches of the letter Shin. These are the 3 Sephirot, Hagat, Gevurah, Hesed, Gevurah, Teferet, kindness, judgment, and beauty. Implying the 3 legs of the throne, where David is their 4th leg. They also imply 3 branches of the lower Shin, which are the 3 Sephirot, Netzah, Hod, Yesod, eternity, majesty, and foundation, where Malhut, kingdom of the house of Joseph, is their 4th, the 7th of the sons. This is why they are called arrows. Since these 3 branches were halved and divided between Messiah, son of David, Messiah, son of Joseph, the 3 above the Hazeh go to Messiah, son of David. The 3 below the Hazeh go to Messiah, son of Joseph.
War or peace. It is written, but if I say thus unto the boy, behold, the arrows are beyond you, from below upward, like the nature of illumination of the 3 branches above the Hazeh, which is Messiah, son of David, know for certain that you are at peace. It is a sign that Saul's father, who is Messiah, son of Joseph, confesses to your leadership and does not contemplate killing you. But if you say thus unto the youth, behold, the arrows are beyond you, meaning from downward revealed, like the 3 branches from the Hazeh and below, which is the quality of the Messiah, son of Joseph, then go your way, for the Lord has sent you away, as it is a sign that he is envious of you and wishes to kill you and revoke your leadership, to lead Israel by the illumination of Messiah, son of Joseph, from above downward in the revealed. It follows that the reason for Malhut's division into 2 kingdoms, Leah and Rachel, from which 2 Messiahs come, Messiah, son of David, and Messiah, son of Joseph, is due to the absence of Malhut, the Malhut, kingdom of kingdom, which cannot be included prior to the end of correction. This is why complete Malhut was nonetheless established above the Hazeh, Leah, by whose force Rachel too receives her correction, although she is lacking the Malhut, although her ascent in Hikvakut mingling inclusion with Leah. Next.
The missing vessel. Know that Malkut, kingdom of kingdom, is the letter He in Moses, and it is the 50th gate called a path which the eagle does not know. An eagle is Moses. Thus are Cater, Hesed, and Bina, crown, wisdom, understanding, beauty, and kingdom in Malkut kingdom, each of which consists of 10. Thus they are 50 gates. And since the Malkut, kingdom of kingdom, is missing, there are only 49 gates in her. In terms of the Kalim vessels, Malkut, kingdom of kingdom, is missing. In terms of the lights, she lacks the Keter, crown. Since there is an inverse relation between Kalim, vessels, and lights, the He of Moses is the missing Malkut, the 50th gate, and she is the reason for the division into Messiah, son of David, and Messiah, son of Joseph. The 2 Messiahs do not have the power to redeem Israel, only Moses. It is because of him that they are detained and do not redeem Israel. For as long as the He of Moses is not corrected, there must be 2 Malkut, kingdoms, so that at least one of them is completely whole, meaning from Kazeh, chest, and above. And the other will receive her wholeness through the first, For this reason, the messiahs that extend from them are also incomplete, because the illumination of Messiah, son of David, is incomplete, as she is covered Hasadim, mercy. The lower ones need disclosed Hasadim, mercy, and the illumination of Messiah, son of Joseph, who extends from Rachel, is incomplete because Rachel's entire correction depends on Leah. Hence, her illumination is diminished, so she is unable to illuminate her revealed Hasadim, mercy, except from below upward, like Leah.
Disclosure of his holy names. This is why Messiah, son of Joseph, is disputed with Messiah, son of David, and she wishes to correct Rachel so she does not need to receive from Leah. Then Rachel will illuminate from above downwards too. Thus both are incomplete, which is why it was said that the two Messiahs do not have the power to redeem Israel before the hay of Moses is corrected in the 50th gate appearance. Because of it, they are detained due to the hay of Moses, that is, not receiving for complete correction. The hay of Moses is mortgaged with Abraham, and from the hay of Abraham, for him to have in her an everlasting name, the hay of Moses was completed in her. It is so because the hay of Abraham is the hay that is mitigated in Madat ha-Rakamim, attribute of mercy. The small hay of Abraham and the hay of Yehibarim, when they are created, were it not for the mitigation, there would be no existence of Mohin, mind, or Zon, small face and female. For the lower ones, the Mohin, mind, are the disclosure of his holy names, for which he was created, for which he has created the world. It follows that as long as the hay of Abraham did not disclose all the Mohin, mind, up to the disclosing of all his holy names, it is impossible to revoke the mitigation of Malchut kingdom in Bina, understanding. Hence, the hay of Moses will not be able to become revealed.
Peace in the future. However, once the mitigated hay, the hay of Abraham, reveals all his holy names, the association of Midat ha-Rakamim, the attribute of mercy, with Din, judgment, which is the hay of Abraham, will be canceled, and the hay of Moses will appear in full. Thus the hay of Moses is mortgaged with Abraham, with the hay of Abraham. And as long as the hay of Abraham was not disclosed, all the necessary Mokin, mind, she detains the disclosure of Moses' hay. Indeed, upon the completion of the disclosure of all his holy names, the association with Bina, understanding, will be canceled, and Moses' hay, which is concealed in Rosh de Atik, the concealed head, will be revealed, as it is written, the stone which the builders loathed shall become the cornerstone. At that time, the two Malchuts, kingdoms, Leah and Rachel, will return to being one complete Partsuf, face, and the Messiah, son of David, and the Messiah, son of Joseph, will return to being one in full completeness and will redeem Israel. From Moses and the two Messiahs, Bereshit, Genesis, Zohar.
So what do you think?
Well, I'm still a little confused, but where does this come from, the text about Leah and Rachel?
This whole quote is from the Zohar. It's Bal Salam's commentary in the Zohar Bereshit.
I'm back. Sorry, dropped out.
I'm interested in the last slide of the piece. Can you explain that? How is it that they're both should be merged? That was a little bit confusing.
So the idea is, I'll reread that last paragraph. Indeed, upon the completion of the disclosure of his holy names, the association with Bina, understanding, will be cancelled. And Moses' hay which is concealed in Rosh Atik, the concealed head, will be revealed. As it is written, the stone which the builders loathe shall become the cornerstone. At that time, the two Malchut's kingdoms, Leah and Rachel, will return to being one complete Partzuf face, and Messiah son of David and Messiah son of Joseph will return to being one in full completeness and will redeem Israel. So what you basically have is, if I give like a summary, so the idea is that there's two parts. There's the revealed, which is basically externality, reality, and you've got the concealed, which is perception. And the idea was that as long as the ego, which is the secret of the name of Moshe, as long as the ego wasn't fully developed, then there was there's a dispute between the two methods. Because the method of Yosef says that the way to reach adhesion with the Creator is through externality, through physical actions. By doing physical actions, and by doing many of them, and what you will do is you will reach adhesion with the Creator. And that's the method of Yosef. The method of David says the way you reach adhesion is through perception, through cleaning concepts, through understanding the way the Creator works in the world. So it's not about the actions you do of kindness, but rather understanding the private providence, the way the Creator manipulates the reality. And by the more you collect and internalize those discernments, they will result in adhesion with the Creator. And these are basically the two methods. And as long as the ego wasn't developed, the only method that would actually work would be the method of Yosef, which is the revealed. Because in actions, it doesn't require ego. You can get people, and that's the whole idea of religion, that it's based on repetitive actions that people do throughout the day. And because everybody who's in that certain circle are doing those same actions, it causes adhesion between them. Because they're doing the same actions day in and day out. It causes them to be close to each other. The problem is when the ego grows, then the actions don't work anymore. So you try to do the actions, and even though you're doing the actions day in and day out, because your ego is strong, it basically sort of does insulation and doesn't allow the actions to actually cause that connection between each other. And that's the whole idea of the exile. That in the exile, even though they were doing actions that were that should have caused them to stay together, because the ego sprouted another degree, it caused that separation, and the actions weren't enough to cause them to have adhesion with each other and with the goal, of course. And the idea is we're basically reaching now the time of the Messiah of David. And it's a transition, of course, where the ego is going to a point where the only way you can actually reach adhesion with the system is through perception and not through physical actions.
Okay, so I have a question. Let's start with the premise that the ego is not fully grown. What I'm understanding is that it is not the appropriate method for someone who doesn't have a fully developed ego to clean concepts. If I'm using it the other way around. So if you don't have a fully developed ego, your ego is still shallow, cleaning concepts is not going to help you. You need to do physical actions until it develops to a certain point. Am I understanding that?
Yeah, so basically this generation is sort of like stuck between a rock and a hard place. Because on one hand, they have a big enough ego that doing actions won't cause annulment. But on the other hand, they don't have enough big ego for cleaning concepts. So the only way in this generation to reach adhesion is through cleaning concepts. The problem is that people that aren't ready for cleaning concepts don't actually have any solution, because they try their best through physical actions to do adhesion, but it doesn't actually work. And that's why this generation is in such a disarray, because they're thinking that this is what everyone did until now, why is it not working for me?
Yeah, it's evolution. So it's like what phase 2 has to increase their ego, right? Rather than negating it.
Exactly, but they don't want to increase their ego, because the whole idea is that they want.
Currently, they don't want to, but that desire may arise.
Well, the idea is that it's going to grow whether they like it or not. The question is, are they going to go with it, or are they going to be fighting the evolution along the way?
Well, we shall see, right?
I agree.
We're here to help them.
Well, we're actually here to help ourselves first.
Yeah, of course.
And part of the dispute is that they still think that it's possible, and they could try this for years and years and years, and we've seen this actually happen. That for years and years and years, they're doing this external annulment through actions, and it's not giving them any actual results.
So I asked you a few minutes ago, but the Zoom dropped out, but it comes back automatically for some reason. It's like magic. But I'd asked you who the author of the text was.
So the first part is, this is from Zohar Lam, so it's basically a concatenation of the Zohar and the Bala Salam commentary. So basically about the first paragraph is the original Zohar, and then the rest of it is Bala Salam's commentary.
Okay. That's good, and it does lay out the 2 points quite well. I can see the correlation again, just like with the phases and all. It's the correlation's there.
Yes, Daniel.
But also because there isn't a one-to-one annulment with Rab Laidman. Like, we cannot say that the method of Ben Joseph doesn't work because it should work with the annulment to the Rab, but because Rab has such a big organization, no one is annulling directly to him.
It's not to do with the organization. It's not the number of people. The idea is that each person in today's world is so egoistically activated by multimedia, by our ego is just constantly being like activated. So we just got no point where we can actually annul. Remember, Rav Lightman reached attainment through annulling to Rabash, but he was in an era. There was no internet, there was no smartphones, there were no mobile phones, right? So the idea is that when he went with Rabash to Tveria, there was just nothing to disrupt them. There were no disruptions. So it was the time where you could actually do annulment. But once the internet happened and mobile phones, we're basically in a generation where we're constantly being disrupted. There's just no point where your ego is not stimulated. So that is why annulment is not working anymore, because we're just constantly stimulated by our ego, that the only way to actually reach adhesion is by actually using the ego instead of negating it or even going into it.
And what method does Rab Laidman teach? Because on the one hand, he seems to teach annulment, but on the other hand, he says that one has to grow the ego for attainment. So is he teaching both at the same time? That's confusing.
Yeah, so he's actually teaching both, and the society are only doing the annulment part. They're not actually growing their ego. The idea is that Rav Laidman is like in a transition, where on one hand, he got from Rabash the method of annulment, but on the other hand, he sees that we do need to grow our ego. And because he's like stuck in this transition, he's like teaching both. And the students have a tendency to want to go for the annulment at the end of the day, because they basically have society pressure on that. There's external pressure from the society on actions. There's no pressure from the society to do internal work. And another reason is that because in the method of Yosef, it's forbidden to share states. It's forbidden to share perceptions. So you're not allowed to go to somebody else and say to them, what do you think bestowal is? They're not allowed to answer you, and you're not even allowed to ask them that question. So there's just no place in the society where you can actually cling concepts. There's no place in the society where you can actually know, should you be using your ego to grow or not? Because you're not even allowed to ask that question. Especially not with each other. So the only place where the society will talk about is about the actions that they do, like dissemination and going to the lessons and so forth. There's no actual conversation about any inner work.
But like using the method of Joseph, the person cannot reach Gamar Tikkun. Like he can Like if it's annulment, he is not allowed to express his power.
In this generation, I would agree with you. In previous generations, you could reach end of correction through annulment. But in this generation, I would say it's impossible.
Because it seems to me that Rappelman hasn't reached the end of correction after so many years.
And part of the idea is that in this generation, again, because there's this transition, it's hard. It's like if you're so used, it's like what we talked beforehand, that the Israelites did not reach the land of Israel. Any Israelite which was over the age of 20, and apart from two men, which was Joshua and Caleb, which were two of the 12 spies, every other man, including Moshe, did not reach the land of Israel. The reason they did not reach the land of Israel is because they had a slavery mentality, and it was fixed in them. And once it was fixed in them, they couldn't, you could say, reprogram themselves. They couldn't adjust themselves to a mindset of freedom. So it's this thing here.
You also mentioned the other time that the correction of the method of Joseph is to annul to the correction of, to the method of Ben David. But like, is this even possible? Like, isn't this like the inclination of a person towards one method over another? Like Ben Joseph, he can annul at first, but if it's not in his nature to follow the method of Ben David,
basically at the end they'll have no choice. So we're not talking about individuals here. So an individual might be fixed, and he might have to die and reincarnate, and then in the end they're going to have to go for cleaning concepts and cleaning their perception. And it's more than that. It says that the Messiah of Joseph was a preparation in 600,000 souls of Bala Salam. It says that all the previous situations were basically preparation for the generation of David, for the method of David. So why? Because the idea of annulling in actions is basically to prepare you for where you're going to annul in perception. But in the end, you're going to have to clean your perception, and the actions is just not going to cut it anymore.
I have one question regarding the growing of the ego. I am imagining it as sometime years ago, there's this little noise, static, that it didn't really distract, and therefore one could use the method of annulling. But through this time, this static or this noise, this ego has been increasing in volume, very distracting to the point that it's everywhere. And therefore, I'm understanding you're saying this is the best and opportune time for the method of David. I'm trying to go back and think, if someone doesn't yet hear this volume to this intensity, someone's ego is still shallow, what will be the method of annulling so that they can reach the method of David? Meaning someone, let's say, not even phase 2, let's talk about someone in corporate reality who barely is beginning to have a point in the heart awaken, and we want to get the method of Ben David to them. What will have to be in place, even if it's for a lapse of, just so they can go through that phase of annulment? What will be the thing that they can use for that necessary step?
So the idea at the end, we talked about this before, that there's 2 points in the heart. There's a point in the heart of David, and there's a point in the heart of Yosef. And the idea is that, just like with the point in the heart of Yosef, that if someone doesn't have it, you basically have to wait until they get it, right? So you can't force someone to have in the point in the heart. So the idea is that even Kabbalah is being disseminated to people which have a point in the heart, right? But the idea that there's 2 categories in the point in the heart. There's the point in the heart which is inclined to annul externally and expand. Remember, annulment is not just being a mindless drone. Annulment means expanding the method you're annulling to. Just like, for example, in religion, David really expanded the code of law, right? I can go to a bookshop and I can find so many books that will talk about so many intricacies of what if, my milk spoon falls into my meaty dish, but the milk spoon had milk, 5 minutes beforehand, and all different like intricacies and stuff. There is books of code law that deal with all these issues. So it's not like they've stuck with the same book that they got from the beginning. They've expanded and grown and innovated in the method of externality. And with someone who has a point in the heart of David, they're more inclined to deal with internality and not externality. So they're more inclined to deal with perception. And the minute they reach a method that deals with perception, they invest in it and they expand in it and they grow it and innovate in the perception and not in reality. But if someone doesn't have an inclination to either, you just basically have to wait until they do have an inclination for one or the other.
Can one train a certain inclination? Meaning like awaken look, this is the difference between these. Can one train this inclination or awaken this inclination from one to the other?
So what you can, if someone's reached under correction and they basically have full adhesion with the Creator, what they can do is they can identify people that are going to go through, let's say, a painful situation. And what they can do is that they can focus their desire on them and sort of, you could say, do spiritual surgery on them to increase the person's feeling of that painful situation. Basically take advantage of the external pressure and make them vulnerable for it to hurt them internally and sort of give them that push to actually get a point in the heart. So if you've got someone who's not feeling any kind of pain, I would say it's probably impossible to give them a point in the heart. But if someone is going to go through a series of pain, you can basically shine your desire on them, make them vulnerable to actually feel that pain internally instead of just externally. And then hasten the time of their internal development to reach a point in the heart.
So supposedly the person with the point of the heart in the heart of David, he has a natural inclination to want to be the power.
There's a natural inclination to want to annul internally, to annul his perception. So the idea is that, unlike with the Yosef method where you annul in actions, and we see this happen where you have a society and they have a certain schedule of actions that they do, and they love doing that. You've got another person who has an inclination to want to clean the perception and unify the perception with others and clean concepts and align to a specific language and descriptions and context so they can all understand each other. So when someone says, let's say, the barrier, they understand exactly what they mean. When they say bestowal, they know what they're talking about. So you'll find, for example, in other societies, when they say the word bestowal, everyone has a different definition of what is bestowal. And you'll find, for example, in a phase 3 group, when you say the word bestowal, everyone understands that bestowal is internal power. Everyone understands that bestowal is control, right? And it's not that everyone has their own definition of what is bestowal. So they're aligning in language. They're speaking the same, not the external language, not the same words. They're speaking the same definitions. They're speaking the same understandings and context with each other. And you could have someone who doesn't have an inclination to either, and they're just not ready for either method.
And what about the inner desire? Because the method of Joseph, he gets the desire from the environment. Where does the person of son of David gets his desire from?
Also from the environment, but they're getting different things in the environment. So someone who has a point in the heart of Yosef, he gets from the environment, he gets the enjoyment of seeing, wow, look at what people are doing. He gets excitement from watching the actions, right? Like, oh, look at the Congress. Look what people do in the Congress. Look at the connection in the Congress. Or look at the dissemination. Wow. Or look how many people came to the morning lesson. That's what he gets his excitement from. That's what he gets his desire from. Like, I want to be like that person who comes early to the lesson. I want to be like that person who's got a definitive role in the society. And that's what drives him. The external actions drive his desire. While in a phase 3 group in the Method of David, the idea is what you don't care about the actions. You're never like, wow, look at that person. He always comes to the Zoom meetings. That's not what you care about. What you get excited about is their expression of their internality, the perception, the concepts, the clear understanding, the concise, the consistency of the concepts. That's what you get excited about. That's what drives your desire and not the actions. So you could have, for example, someone who has no problem nulling externally and doing all the actions. But when they're asked to share and null themselves internally, which means to align their inner language to the inner language of others. Right? That's what. So just like annulment externally means annulling, like changing your actions to align with the actions of others. Annulling internally is aligning your perception to the perception of others.
So the method of Ben Joseph, the person enjoys annulling externally, but feels pain to annul internally, and vice versa?
Exactly. So someone who has an inclination and a point in the heart of David, when they are first faced with the concept of unifying perceptions, they just love it, and they go full on it. And you've got someone with inclination, with a point in the heart of Yosef. They love the idea of external alignment of actions. When you sort of tell them they have to align internally to the perception of the group, they hate it. They fight it. They want to. They have no problem with the knowledge, the external knowledge that the group provides, but they want to be the gatekeeper that decides what they're going to clean and what they're not going to clean.
Can a person have both types of points? Because I don't mind annulling to my phase 2 and phase 1 friends either, you know. I've been feeling a lot of kumbaya lately.
So the idea is that you could have someone who has a point in the heart of David. They have no problem to annul externally because they don't give it any value. Right? So they have what?
It has some value. It's not devoid of value.
What are you saying?
I'm saying it's not devoid of value. It would be lesser value.
Yeah, lesser value. It doesn't have importance to you from your spiritual development.
Right. But it's being sociable and just loving in general. Love your neighbor.
Exactly, but the idea is...
Which I can do now that I'm post-barrier.
Yeah, but the idea is that someone who's with a Yosef point in the heart, they see it as an attack on themselves. They feel like you're violating them. Like you're violating their privacy.
Oh, just by loving them and annulling to them?
No.
Not trying to get them to do anything.
No, I'm saying that the Yosef point in the heart, they feel violated when you're forcing them or when you're telling them that they have to clean
when
the perception.
they're trying to do phase 3, yeah.
Yes, when they're trying to clean the perception, they feel that you're violating their privacy.
But I've been giving some love to my phase 2 and 1 friends, you know. I'm in a kumbaya mood. So.
Yeah, there's no problem with that.
Doing some hugs. Yeah, I have no problem with annulling to my friends. You know, it's like you say, it's of lesser value than they impart to it.
Exactly. They see it as that's what will give them spiritual growth by the actual actions that they do.
Yeah, they're all beavering away.
And what it talks about in the article about, you've got the chest, right? Which is basically each spiritual face, Partsuf, is divided into, you've got from the chest below, which is called the revealed, and you've got the chest above, which is the concealed. Which what that basically means is you've got, the revealed is what you're going to do in reality. And you've got the concealed, which is your perception behind it. And the idea is that Yosef wants to do this externality, the revealed, that's what it represents, and David represents the internality, the concealed.
And that's why we have the advantage is we're capable of doing both, both phases. Like you say, we don't get rid of phase two, we just add upon it.
And that's the idea of the combination at the end of Yosef and David.
Yeah. Again, once again, it all makes perfect sense to me. I got no problems. That clears up a lot of the mysteries too, about why, I knew, Yahshua. I thought he was the only one that had entered the land, but like you say, Caleb did too, but, the reason why, And the problem with David and Saul.
Yeah, so this conflict has been existing till the beginning of time.
Yeah.
And it's also the story of the sun and the moon, right? Where they were created equal, and then the moon had to diminish herself. So the idea of the sun represents the method of Yosef, which is the revealed method.
The Rav.
And that's the idea of the day, right? The sun shines in the day, which is revealed. You've got the moon that shines in the night, which is concealed. And the idea is that the moon, which is the method of David, had to diminish itself because the ego wasn't ready for it. And the idea says at the end of days, the moon will grow back to be the size of the sun, which means that the method of David will grow to be a viable option for reaching attainment.
But it will always be the reflected light of the sun, right?
The idea is that at some point it will also become independent. So whether it will happen physically or not, that doesn't matter. We're talking here about the spiritual concept.
Right. Yeah, but that's like you always said too, Rav is the sun, you are the moon. That's cool, man. We need both. Like I was saying, it's like we come from BB. That's where I still stand on my BB foundation. I just cleaned it up a lot,
I totally agree with you.
But, regardless of the type of the point in the heart of the person, it is a captivating idea to become the creator and to increase your ego to become the power. Like, regardless of the type of point in the heart, like that desire is like looks attractive in the person.
What do you mean?
That becoming the creator and be able to control, like to have your ego, to have whatever you want, is attractive for any person, irrespective of his type of point in the heart.
No, so the point in the heart of Yosef will be inclined to be a slave of the creator, and wouldn't dare to think that it becomes the creator itself. Only in the method of David would it dare to want to become the creator itself.
Could you explain the two hays, the hay of Abraham and Abraham and the hay of Moshe that's in the article?
Yes, I'm looking at it. So it says, all right, so it says the hay of Moses is mortgaged with Avram, from the hay of Avram. So that is Avram. He got an extra hay in his name. At the beginning, he was called Avram, and then afterwards became Avraham. And the idea is that the hay is small. For him to have in her an everlasting name, the hay of Moses was completed in her. It is so because the hay of Avram is the hay that is mitigated in the attribute of mercy. The small hay of Avram and the hay of Behibaram, when they were created, were it not for that mitigation, there would be no existence of mind for Zon, small face and female, and for the low ones. Those mind are the disclosure of his holy names, for which he has created the world. Follows that as long as the Hey of Avram did not disclose all the mind up to the disclosing all of his holy names, it is impossible to revoke the mitigation of kingdom in understanding. Hence, the Hey of Moses will not be able to become revealed. So basically what you've got is you've got the states of mind. You've got the ego, which is basically the perception, which attracts the light, which is the holy names. So the idea is that if the ego is not of a strong enough degree, it's not going to be able to attract all of the holy names. And it's what it talked about, that you've got the inverse relationship between the vessels and the lights, where the coarsest vessel, which is Malchut, can actually attain the highest light, which is Keter, which is the crown. And there's the concept of only the most egoistic people want to become the crown, want to become the creator. Right? So at the beginning you'd think, oh, it's the purists who would want to become the creator. No. The purists want to be slaves to the system. Only the coarsest people, the people with the biggest ego, want to be the choicest. They want to become the creator. They want that control. They want to use their ego instead of annulling their ego.
Thank you.
And that's why it's only possible in this generation, because the ego has reached such degrees where it actually cares about getting some kind of control. We talked about this, how the point in the heart goes through three main evolutions. So you've got the passive point in the heart, which cares about the meaning of life. You've got the active point in the heart, which wants to already do something towards its growth. It wants to have an active participation in its growth. And then you have the intense point in the heart, where it's focused. Its only focus is to advance. So an active point in the heart cares about advancement, but it cares about it in the array of everything else it cares about. The intense point in the heart, its sole focus becomes on advancing, and everything else just becomes less important.
So the intense point in the heart doesn't need the environment to activate the desire?
No, it needs the environment, but it has an intense desire to use the environment, much more than an active point in the heart. The active point in the heart will use the environment more casually. An intense point in the heart will use the environment more intensely. So you could say that you have a passive point in the heart where it has a passive participation in the environment. You have an active point in the heart where it has an active participation in the environment. And you have an intense point in the heart which has an intense interaction with the environment.
Can this level of intensity be changed in an environment, in this environment?
What do you mean?
Well, if I've got a passive point in the heart, and my environment has a more intense, the environment that I'm in has a more intense point in the heart, will that affect me? Will that help me move from a passive to a more intense state?
If you wanted to, yes. If you want the environment to entice you forward, it can definitely entice you forward. And I'd say that the environment can really be used basically all the way up to 4.4.2 before the barrier. And then it already requires you to, you could say, do your individual work. Work on yourself. You have to bring that intensity that you've allowed the environment to push you the whole way by annulling to it. Now you've got to finally take it into yourself. But you have to take it into yourself by still having acceptance for the environment. So you can have people that, no, I need to decide, which is like a left line. You've got a right line approaches where, oh, I'll just let the environment decide for me. And to make a middle line, you need both. You need that intense sense of self as I am the one, and at the same time, still allowing the environment to continue intensifying you. So then what that does is that you've got this sense of self, this ego, this desire to be the one, but you're still allowing the environment to come in and intensify you even more. It's like a rocket going into space. How does the rocket go up? It has this intense fire going into the ground, right? And it just basically is causing so much tension that it just pushes the rocket into, up into space. So one end, you have to have the sense of, I'm a rocket, I'm an individual. You still need the environment to really intensify you, to push you up and catapult you across the barrier. Mary wrote, so someone with a Ben Yosef point in the heart will have to have a really intense point in the heart in a Ben David environment. Definitely. So the idea is, you could say that the problem of a Ben Yosef point in the heart in a David environment will be in that allowing the annulment, allowing the environment to infect them, giving them space. While someone who is got a David point in the heart, their problem is the opposite. Their problem is that they have to intensify their sense of self. Because they've got the annulment, they've got the idea that they want to clean their perceptions and share their perceptions with others, but they have to work on that sense of self as it's all about my perception, it's all about me. So you've got this sort of opposite problem space where a Yosef class will have a problem with letting people inside, and an Avram class will have a problem of becoming an individual, becoming a one, becoming a powered individual. Yes, Mary. So it's all about me, but also inclusive with others. It's basically the concept of independent on each other, where you're dependent on each other in order to become independent. All right, I think we'll stop here and enter the after party.